times like now, I can't focus on anything story related or action related or response time related. I need the most basic turn based nothing to just
You need
yeah.
you
What
need something that you can click on and then go, oh,
exactly.
all right, I'm okay, and
Exactly.
get back to it with, with no interruption.
So playing a fighting game or playing Metaphor sound like the worst possible, most unappealing things to me when I'm feeling like this right now. Just so
Yeah.
anybody understands that. Literally give me like an analog fucking deck of cards like that. I can, you know. So anyway, Shaolin Showdown, Shogun Showdown, is a turn-based rogue light. I think that's the correct term.
Yeah, you know what? Who gives a
Um,
nerds care.
but it's basically I played it on stream a little bit earlier in the week too, last time. You hop around and every action you do takes a turn, and you queue up to 3 actions, and you fight a bunch of enemies that are about to do their actions to you. And hey, guess what? Into the Breach style, you know, perfect sequence puzzling, etc.
Yeah.
Incredibly fun, so fun, really really cool. Um, the you know, like ancient Japan style setup going on, and then you realize that it is a game that is secretly, and not secretly, but like you start seeing characters like Hideyoshi and Ieyasu and things like
Hey,
that. And you're
wait
like,
a second. I
what are
know
these
those guys.
names? You're like, ah, Nobunagas Rise Up. It's a Nobunaga game, um, and
I don't like that term.
yeah, well, there it is, you know. But for the most part, like it's really satisfying when you kind of learn to put these moves together, where you're like, okay, I have a character who you can pick, like there's like a samurai, a ninja, like these different classes. One that you unlock that's a really good example of like what would sell me on this is like the judoka, right, or jujitsuka rather, which is a
Yeah.
character that like you have like, okay, you have like 5 tiles that you're kind of hopping back and forth on, and enemies are about to plan their next attack and slam at you, shoot at you, come at you, do whatever. And what this character can do is grab you and flip you around and flip enemies around and reposition
Oh, I love
them
that guy.
to attack each other and make people point in the wrong direction, and then like shove them away and make them collide into each other.
Yeah, I love that guy in Into the Breach.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So repositioning the enemies as a means of defense, you know, is always super fun. Um, and then while you're doing this type of stuff with the game, you have other characters that can like pass through or, you know, slide around and stuff. You're also randomly picking up abilities and weapons and such that can attack in different directions, different amounts of tiles. And then you can upgrade them for awesome like passive things, you know. So you can have like a let's say you have a ball and chain where like it hits 3 tiles in front of you, and if it connects with something, it bounces back behind you by 1 tile and hits anything behind you. You can apply like a double attack to that to make it happen twice, and then it poisons anything it hits too, and you know, and you can basically balance the amount of upgrades that you put on these weapons while also affecting how many turns it takes for them to cool down and use them again, you know. So you basically get this really precise setup going, and it gets really deep, and it feels really advanced too as well, because later on you're able to do things like play a card that teleports you to it mirrors your position on the map. So you have to like do some mental calculation to be like, I will appear exactly here, then I will grab this person and like toss them behind me, and then throw a kunai in front of me, right? And like you'll put that all into sequence and make it so that one chain reaction leads to another, so that you're hitting an enemy into the kunai that you threw while teleporting, and you know, and you're putting together all the trajectory, and it's really really satisfying and fun when it works out.
You know, Wooly, it's funny because like I went to the Steam page and I'm watching it and I'm like, this is 2D Shogun Into the Breach.
Into the Breach,
No
yeah.
shit, you love this thing. And then I scroll down and it goes overwhelmingly positive, always a good sign. Then it sees one friend of yours already owns this game, being you,
Yep.
Wooly. And then above it, it says, it's like other shit you've played, like Balatro, okay, and Midnight Suns. And I'm just like, yeah, it is kind of a lot like Midnight Suns, actually. You should probably give that game a shot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually, like,
Is that
Midnight Suns is the same thing, just on like a 3D grid.
Okay. Is it also listing similar to XCOM at all?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, what I will say is that like anything that gives perfect information from the enemy as becomes a puzzle game and becomes way more fun to me. Like or when the behavior is something that you know what it's going to be and you have to like efficiently solve by moving and weaving and such, you know. Fights in tight spaces, another game that I loved, and all these things. Like now, you know, not all of them are the same level of quality, and I know that like Fights in Tight Spaces didn't land with everybody. Into the Breach certainly was one of the best examples of it. This one really, really good, honestly. Great sense of progression. Every time you do a run, you go through a day, and like by going through the day and like doing it, like let's say you do it like without getting hit, let's say you do it like fast enough or in minimal amounts of turns. You unlock tons of stuff each run, you know, and you get enough permanent upgrades to take back to unlock a bunch of different weapon types and passives, and you know, and things that diversify your run. So like very quickly you're able to like you start with one character, one run type, and like within 5 or 6 different runs you're unlocking tons of different options and ways to play the game, you know. So yeah, if you're at all into like this type of genre, you know, turn-based like tactical fighting, and you know, and in this case it's like samurai themed and got these little cute characters jumping around and stuff. Yeah, highly recommended.
So, Wooly, I did not talk about this a week or two ago, or maybe I did. Did I ever talk about a game called Tactical Breach Wizards?
No.
Okay, so Tactical Breach Wizards is also overwhelmingly positive on Steam, and is literally another one of the types of games that you described.
Okay.
It is set in a setting in which you are playing what is essentially like Breach SWAT operatives, but they are wizards.
Okay.
So you are going into Breach rooms, and then your main character can see 1 second into the future. So you plan out your movements, such as knock this guy out the window or zap this dude or place a bomb, and then you click the button and it will show you how those events are going to play out, because enemies have extremely strict rules, such as always attack nearest enemy, always move towards line of sight, etc. And it is absolutely that, but with a different aesthetic.
Okay.
And like a really cool hook. You should definitely check out Tactical Breach Wizards. It's fantastic.
Cool. That sounds fun. Yeah, because it's these are things that they scratch the same itch as like Slay the Spire, for example, but like as much fun as Slay the Spire is, I love when you have like positioning and movement involved as well, not just playing the cards, you know.
I genuinely feel like ever since you've described Enter the Breach as perfect information, this is what my brain calls this genre.
Yeah, I
like across all different actual subgenres, it's the perfect information genre.
Well, because the moment you're just like the AI has a pattern, but you don't know what it's going to be, that just changes the entire way you play the game. It changes everything. You're not trying to do a perfect run anymore. You're trying to just minimize, you know, bad decisions and outcomes, and position yourself in a way where if they do this, you're ready for that, or if they do the X, you're ready for Y, you know, and you approach games very, very differently, predicting and guessing versus going like, no, you know, that's going to go that way. That's why you have to counter it this way.
It reminds me of the way that people talk about, not XCOM, Fire Emblem. In that there's the way that I play Fire Emblem, and probably the way you play Fire Emblem, and the way that people who have played 10 Fire Emblems play Fire Emblem, in which to them, they actually know the intrinsic mentality of every type of unit. And they know that if an archer will always move 6 fucking paces to this, and they're playing a completely different fucking game than you or I are.
Yeah, when the rules are, you can learn them, but they're not immediately obvious. Yeah, 100%.
They're not told, they're just there.
And of course, what makes it really interesting is like bosses have more complex patterns, or they can stack things in a way that you usually can't. Most normal enemies can't, and you'll have these moments where you'll see a boss will stack 3 cards, right, 3 actions, and one will be mirror your position on the map. Then the next one will be dash backwards until you connect with an enemy, and then appear on the other side of them, and then it'll be do an uppercut. And so you have to you have to take a second and go, all right, he's going to flip positions with me, then come flying at me, then go through me and punch me back this way, meaning I'm gonna hit this guy, so I need to flip this way, and and like put the right shield in the right place, and like every time you like hop a tile or flip around or select an action, that all takes a turn. So selecting an action takes a turn. Yeah.
Ugh.
Right. Preparing an action takes a turn. So you have to really, you have to be very, very ready and do a lot of calculation before you even preview what you're about to do. And yes, when you it does turn-based Katana Zero almost feels like a really a great way to describe it too.
That's
because
not fair.
You're doing really rad Katana Zero shit.
Fair.
You are doing
high. That's high praise to throw at something.
I mean, I found when you play these games too, and when you get like a busted build, you just go like, "Fuck, I'm never getting this one again."
You're like, I think I fucked this shit up. I think I fucked it.
Yep. So I found I had found one of those that kind of locked me in, which was you unlock kunai, and what kunai does is most weapons, if you power them up, you put the number from let's say 3 damage to 4, and then it'll just do that much more, and that'll be it. With kunai, the number increasing means you throw more out, right? And so instead of being like one hit that does 4 damage, you'll throw 4 kunai out, and if something dies in 2, then the next 2 kunai are going to whatever was behind it. So you just So I'm like, oh fuck, let's take that. Let's stack that with curse, which doubles the damage. Let's make it so that if I only select one action, I get an extra amount of damage on it. So therefore now I'm doing 3 per shot. And let's put this number to 8 shots if possible, and then teleport to one side of the map and then just shoot everything in a line and clear the entire row. And then finally, if I kill 3 things, it resets the cooldown immediately. So you're like, all right, I just busted the whole thing open, and I'm like, sick, cleared a build, cleared a round with that, and now that's one strat. That's like high card meta. It's one type of build you can go back to. So yeah, fun little things like that, and seeing how you get a new weapon and how to think about little strats like that and break it open are tons of fun. Shogun Showdown, big praise.
That sounds great.